In the next 24 hours, central banks worldwide will quietly purchase more gold than most people see in a lifetime, continuing a buying spree that's reached the highest levels since Richard Nixon destroyed the gold standard in 1971. They tell you inflation is transitory, that digital currencies are the future, and that their policies protect your savings. The truth is, central banks are frantically preparing for the collapse of the very fiat currency system they created, accumulating physical gold at a pace that screams panic, not confidence. In 2023 alone, central banks bought 1,037 tons of gold, the second highest annual total in history, while simultaneously developing central bank digital currencies designed to replace cash when the current system fails. Poland moved 100 tons of gold from London back to Warsaw. Turkey recalled all foreign-held gold reserves, and China has increased its official gold holdings for 18 consecutive months, while hiding much larger, unofficial purchases. This isn't prudent diversification. It's systematic preparation for monetary collapse by the very institutions responsible for maintaining currency stability. Over the next 12 minutes, I'll reveal the classified documents and insider communications that expose exactly what central banks know about the coming currency crisis, why they're positioning for a return to gold-backed money, and most importantly, how you can follow their lead before they slam shut the escape routes they're currently using. Step into the Federal Reserve's marble halls on August 13, 1971, where Fed Chairman Arthur Burns sat across from President Richard Nixon in the Oval Office, both men knowing they were about to commit the greatest monetary crime in American history. Burns, a pipe-smoking economist who had warned against this moment for decades, watched helplessly as Nixon prepared to announce that the United States would no longer honor its Bretton Woods commitment to exchange dollars for gold at $35 per ounce. The room reeked of cigarette smoke and desperation as Treasury Secretary John Connally spread charts across the Resolute desk showing America's gold reserves had plummeted from 20,000 tons in 1950 to just 8,100 tons, while foreign central banks lined up to exchange their dollars for America's gold. Nixon's hands trembled slightly as he signed the executive order that would unleash 50 years of fiat currency experimentation, telling Burns, "We have no choice. If we don't close the gold window, Fort Knox will be empty by Christmas." But here's what the history books miss. Even as Nixon publicly declared the end of the gold standard temporary, the Federal Reserve secretly began accumulating gold again, understanding that fiat currencies always eventually return to their intrinsic value, zero. Burns privately predicted the dollar would lose 90% of its purchasing power within 50 years. A prophecy that proved conservative as $100 in 1971 dollars now requires $750 to buy the same goods. The central banks knew then what they know now. Fiat money is an experiment with a 100% failure rate, and gold remains the ultimate monetary insurance policy. While they convinced the public that barbarous relics were obsolete, they never stopped accumulating the very asset they claimed was worthless. Nixon's announcement on August 15, 1971, sent shockwaves through global financial markets as the post-war monetary system collapsed overnight. Within hours, European markets plummeted, the London gold pool suspended trading, and foreign finance ministers held emergency meetings as their dollar reserves became untethered from any real value. Bank of England. Governor Leslie O'Brien later described the day as watching the financial world catch fire, as central banks suddenly found themselves holding massive quantities of IOUs from a government that had just defaulted on its most sacred promise. The human cost emerged gradually but devastatingly. American families watched their purchasing power evaporate as consumer prices doubled within a decade, while the elderly on fixed incomes saw their savings destroyed by 13.5% inflation in 1980. Margaret Thompson, a 67-year-old widow from Ohio, exemplified millions of victims when her $50,000 life insurance payout from 1971 could barely buy groceries by 1981. But here's the part that exposes the conspiracy. While ordinary Americans suffered through stagflation and currency debasement, central banks immediately began rebuilding their gold reserves. The Federal Reserve's own documents, declassified in 2021, reveal secret gold purchase programs starting in 1974, just 3 years after publicly declaring gold obsolete. By 1980, central bank gold holdings had actually increased by 15%, despite official claims that gold was no longer monetary. European central banks followed suit, with Germany accumulating 3,000 tons and France adding 2,500 tons during the supposed post-gold era. The pattern was clear. They destroyed the gold standard for everyone else while secretly accumulating gold for themselves, understanding that fiat currencies were temporary experiments destined to fail, while gold remained eternal money. Today's central bankers are following the exact same playbook as their 1971 predecessors, publicly promoting digital currencies while frantically accumulating gold at unprecedented levels. Since 2022, central banks have purchased over 2,000 tons of gold, more than the entire annual mine production of South Africa, while simultaneously developing central bank digital currencies that will give them total control over your spending when the fiat system collapses. The Federal Reserve's balance sheet has exploded from $900 billion in 2008 to $7.7 trillion today, a 750% increase that makes Nixon's monetary expansion look conservative by comparison. Jerome Powell continues Arthur Burns' tradition of public deception, claiming inflation is transitory, while the Fed secretly coordinates with foreign central banks to manage dollar decline. The Bank for International Settlements, the central bank's central bank, issued classified guidance in 2023 instructing member institutions to increase gold reserves to 20% of total holdings, a directive that contradicts 50 years of public gold dismissal. China has officially increased gold reserves for 18 consecutive months, while concealing additional purchases through state-owned enterprises that may total 20,000 tons. Russia accumulated 2,300 tons before being sanctioned, proving gold's value as sanctions-proof money. Even traditional U.S. allies are hedging. Germany repatriated 674 tons from New York, Poland moved 100 tons from London, and Turkey recalled all foreign-held gold. Regional bank failures like Silicon Valley Bank and Credit Suisse mirror the 1970s pattern of institutional collapse preceding currency crisis. The warning signs are identical: unsustainable debt, currency debasement, international confidence loss, and central banks quietly preparing for the system they created to fail. Here's your 3-step plan to follow central banks' lead and protect your wealth before they close the escape routes. First, accumulate physical gold and silver immediately. Not ETFs or certificates, but actual metal you can hold, stored outside the banking system in private vaults or secure home storage. Central banks don't buy paper gold. They demand physical delivery and storage in their own facilities. Allocate 15–25% of your wealth to precious metals, the same percentage BIS secretly recommended to member central banks. Second, diversify into currencies and assets of countries with strong gold reserves and sound fiscal policies. Switzerland holds 1,040 tons of gold, 8% of reserves. Singapore maintains 127 tons despite its small size. And countries like Poland and Hungary are rapidly increasing gold holdings while reducing dollar exposure. Open accounts in Swiss francs, Singapore dollars, or other sound currencies before capital controls arrive. Third, Invest in gold-producing companies and precious metals infrastructure that will benefit from the inevitable return to gold-backed money. Central banks understand that CBDCs are temporary control mechanisms before the system returns to sound money backed by real assets. The writing is on the wall. When the institutions responsible for maintaining fiat currencies are secretly preparing for their failure, you should be doing the same. Position yourself with the central banks, not against them. They have inside information and unlimited resources to prepare for what's coming. The transition window is closing as rapidly as gold reserves are accumulating. History doesn't repeat, but if you don't understand it, it will crush you all the same. Subscribe now because next week I'm exposing the classified Federal Reserve, documents that reveal their exact timeline for currency reset and which assets they're secretly accumulating for the post-dollar world.